has expired. The gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Rigell, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I found, Mr. Speaker, in my public service that one of the great privileges of serving are just the opportunities it's afforded me to meet with so many amazing Americans, Virginians, really from all walks of life. Many of these occasions have been moments of great joy, greeting service members when they've returned home from serving abroad, graduation ceremonies. But there have also been moments of profound sadness and serious moments where not only me, but I'm sure my colleagues here, we've had the opportunity and the difficult one, actually, to meet with those who have lost a service member in service to our country, or those whose families have really been hit so hard with a debilitating, indeed a fatal disease. And it's to one of those fatal diseases that I come to the floor this morning. That's Alzheimer's. And I believe that probably every member of this House has been affected by it in some way, both sides. It's certainly affected my own family. Alzheimer's damages and eventually destroys brain cells. It leads to memory loss and other challenges in brain function. It usually develops slowly and gradually gets worse, and ultimately Alzheimer's is fatal. Every 66 seconds, Mr. Speaker, a fellow American is diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But let's be clear, it's not, we're not talking about statistics here, we're talking about people. And to my left is the Garner family. I've learned so much from the Garner family about Alzheimer's. And if you ever wonder if engaging your local representative makes a difference, well, indeed it does. This family is an example of this. This is Jim, his wife, Karen, their two beautiful children. I got to know Jim when he was diagnosed with just the early stages of Alzheimer's. He was an officer in the United States Air Force at Langley, served with distinction. Alzheimer's cut that short. This is Frankie, their daughter. Frankie's amazing. She's one of the strongest advocates I know for a cause that she believes in, and I've learned a lot from her and her entire family. Jim passed away this past April. He was just 54, well, it was just days before his 54th birthday. Karen kept a blog about her experiences, and with her permission, I want to read from that blog. This is Karen speaking. I want people to see what Alzheimer's disease does to a wonderful human being. I want to break the misconception that Alzheimer's disease is just old people forgetting someone's name or getting lost. I want to erase the stereotypical patient idea. I want the stigma that follows a diagnosis to be a thing of the past. Well, we've got a long ways to go before that's complete reality across our nation, but she certainly helped me. All the family has helped me to understand this. I'm grateful to them and to the Alzheimer's Association for helping me further and really grasp at a deeper level just how this disease is harming our country. Now, if we look at it, here's some of the statistics that we've got to keep in mind. 6th leading cause of death in the United States. Another 10 top killers of Americans. Alzheimer's is the only disease that cannot be prevented, cured, or even slowed. The rate of diagnosis is increasing. Right now, we have about 5 million Americans that are suffering from this disease, including 135,000 Virginians. But if we fail to act, Mr. Speaker, the number of Americans living with Alzheimer's could soar to as many as 16 million by 2020. Now, I'm a fiscal conservative. I am acutely aware of our fiscal trajectory. Yet as I look at the cost of Alzheimer's, and it's far more than a cost, but if we look at what's happening here statistically, here's where our expenses are going, Mr. Speaker. And I, as a fiscal conservative, come to the House floor today to say that we need to be investing more in Alzheimer's research. We worked on a really, I think, admirable bipartisan way to increase funding to over $660 million a year. Mr. Speaker, I call for $2 billion. It is money well invested. Some things that we invest in are true expenses. Other things are true investments. This is one of them. We should fund every program and medical research opportunity that shows promise. And indeed, there are great opportunities for promise here. We can investigate brain imaging, biomarkers, and clinical tools that may result in earlier and more accurate diagnosis, timelier interventions, effective disease monitoring. It certainly if we'd advanced this, we could have done a better job for Jim and his life and his family. We ought to really set for our country something like the great moonshot that my father was so an integral part of. Mr. Speaker, I'm convinced that we can do this. We can find a cure. We can do right by the next generation. And I keep in mind, it's not about statistics, but people. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to speak on the House floor, and I yield back.
The gentleman's